Yeah, so much resonate. Your talk today seems really synchronistic, actually. It's just to kind of, I don't even know if I have a question, but I just feel like when I speak to you, it kind of validates a lot of stuff. But yeah, you're the guy the gentleman who you talked to at the beginning, just after your opening, so much of that resonated as well. Like, and what you're saying about how, I don't know, I guess like when I'm watching like or listening to a lot of speakers, and especially like the radical stuff, there's a lot of talking about the me falling away, and I know people, we kind of sometimes we kind of seek that, and recently it seems more like feeling more me in a paradoxical way.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's more, I'm feeling more unashamedly me, or more unapologetically me in a way. And with that comes also, like what you said earlier, like seeing actually where was I attached to like being seen a certain way, or being like perceived a certain way, or if I'm honest with myself, like probably a part of this journey was like I want to be like that guy who always gets on with everyone, or who always like who's always like can deal with like a confrontation, or just always chilled or at peace. And then seeing that was also like an attachment.
Yeah, totally. Another seeking pattern. That's not actually truly what you wanted. It's what you were taught as a child and grew up to believe, and then it got projected onto the spiritual path. It's really profound, that insight. Like it's a lot of people don't realize that often their idea of enlightenment reflects back their idea of like the perfect person that they want to be, but it's an unconscious thing. It's kind of really subtly hid. And then you get the different characters. So you get the characters that like want to be nobody so they can get on with everybody, and then you get the characters that want to be everything so they can dominate everything. Like, so you get like the characters that are more like, if I am everything, then everybody will love me. It's like, then I will be the center. And it's like, if I'm enlightened, and it's like the two opposites of the same coin. If I'm like empty of everything, then I can just be totally empty, and everybody else will be happy with me. It's really similar, but it's just opposite sides of a dysfunction, of an old karma that most people are playing out. Like how we get along, like how we relate to things is the same as how we relate to not just people, but objects, our world, our job, the way we see politics. It's all really similar.
Yeah, it's crazy. It does feel like the things that are coming up now are, again, paradoxically, like subtle, but also quite deep as well.
Yeah.
And like seeing that, maybe I'm afraid to be seen as someone who can react angrily, or and that kind of is so weird, because then that suppresses it as well when you're trying to avoid that. But maybe like part of it is just letting that out sometimes.
Like being imperfect, like the human mammal is really interesting, like what we've evolved from. Like essentially we've evolved from this desire for survival individually, and our group to survive as well, because it individually helps our survival. So it's like we're competing to survive against our group and to help our group survive. So we compete amongst our group, and we kind of forget this, that the nature of the human is like a really intense nature. Like it's not just running through poppy fields and, you know, being kind and like rainbows and you know, and part of waking up is really accepting the nature of being human and the contradictions of it, our altruistic ideas. Most of us have altruistic ideas, but also our self-centered ideas, you know, like all of it, and that anything can arise. And then it's also going back to like being, you were saying about being authentic, which is like being more yourself, which is, I feel that is really true. Like the character becomes more itself, but equally on the same as on the beingness and the nothingness, like you become more yourself as the beingness and the knowing, the consciousness or whatever we call that. So it's like this, you become more yourself on the character level and you become more yourself on the absolute level as well.
Yeah, it's so strange, isn't it? It's so opposite. It happens at the same time. It's like, wait, what's going on? I'm feeling more peaceful, but also more just like
human.
Sometimes more reactive and more like all over the place. Like, you know, it went from like days of expansiveness to days of contraction. And I think I talked to you about this once before, and you know how it's kind of tiring, the oscillation. Now it's like oscillating like a million times a day, like up, down, all over the place. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a phase, but I don't know. Anyway, I also wanted to say it was really nice hearing you say earlier about just that one sentence when you said what's coming up for me now, like just that alone. And also what you said after that, but just hearing that was just like, just brings it back to how, you know, there is no finish line. Lisa's human too. She's working on stuff too. You know, there's no kind of, it just brings it back to like everyone's just on the same, everyone's equal again, you know, like.
And that, and that desire for the teacher to have a finish line is actually your desire for yourself to have a finish line. And it's kind of like a rejection of yourself in a way, because that's not the nature of evolution. I mean, evolution is an idea in a way. I mean, the finish line, there is a finish line right here, right now. But in the apparent time of things, everything always evolves and changes. And so when you want this finish line as a spiritual teacher, it's like you want a finish line as yourself, because you want to be able to hope that one day you will be perfect, you will look a certain way, you'll be a certain way, you'll behave a certain way, and it will be done. So it's kind of like the rejection of the character again, or the rejection of yourself again.
Yeah. That's,
it's a painful one to let go of, because it's such a nice idea. It also can be projected outwards as well, as in like the character wants to fall in love with a perfect person that has no, like that is perfect and is finished. So it also can be like this old desire of a perfect parent figure. So sometimes like we have this idea of the Buddha, or we have the idea of these spiritual teachers in line with the parent figure that we didn't get in the first few years of our life. So because the parent figure in the first few years of life needs to be absolute unconditional love. Like and that's programmed into us to do this. But sometimes we don't receive that. So then we project it onto these enlightened teachers and think they are absolute unconditional love. They're finished. They have nothing self-centered left inside of them. They are, you know, they have no emotions or something, because we want that parent figure that we didn't receive, or that we only half received.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think, because if I actually think back, initially I was much more drawn to the really tranquil, like chilled speakers, and then as time went on, I'm like a bit more like I'll listen to anyone really. Like, but
I used to be really attracted to teachers that like really knew. So they were like, this is the way it is, and da 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 da. Like, so that kind of like had a finishing line in it. It's like they were almost implying that this is the way it is, and then when you get to this stage you're awakened, and this stage you're a stream entrant, and this time you're enlightened, and then this time you're in nirvana, and it's like really like this is the path. And I had this for a period of traction, like yeah.
That's so funny. I was just debating that with someone the other day. She's like very much on a Buddhist structured, like stream entry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's perfect in a way. Like I wouldn't say don't do that, because it's all this personalized journey. Like there was so much I learned in that. It's just like this opening to let that flow come through you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to speak with you again.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks. You can mute yourself now. Bye.